Alright, so earlier today I finished part 7 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Steel Ball Run. Sorry if you can hear somebody in my house is taking a shower. I don't know who, but it's in the room over. But yeah, I just want to kind of sit down and talk about it. I got a few bullet points I wrote down on a Google Doc just to kind of keep me on track. So first I kind of want to talk about the lead up to me reading it, because I had a lot of hype building for this. It's like number 2 highest rated of all time on my anime list, which is crazy because it's above One Piece, it's above Vagabond, it's above every other JoJo part, it's above everything other than Berserk. It's the only thing that's higher rated than it on my anime list, which is a lot of hype to build. Plus online, everybody says that's best JoJo's part. I have a friend who really likes it, and he was always telling me. He told me to read it he told me to just get to part 3 and read part 7 because after you understand stands, you can basically read part 7 because it's like a reset. It also is kind of, it's the shift, I think it started going into a seinen magazine. And you can definitely tell with, it's still definitely JoJo's, but I think the story can get a little bit more mature. Not to say it wasn't mature before, I just think it has that extra kind of freedom to do that. As I think parts like part 5, part 6, those two especially, I think did get pretty more deep and mature with its themes. Part 4, obviously, I really liked all of the parts. Just to give a quick rundown of my thoughts up to the point, I hadn't read the manga. It's just the anime. But other than part 7, it's the only part I've read because it doesn't have an anime. But yeah, part 1, okay. Part 2, overrated, just okay. Part 3 is really boring, but the ending was really good and I really liked the characters. Part 4, really liked, one of the best villains. Part 5, favorite, arguably, now that I've read part 7. Part 6, also really good, one of the best villains. Yeah. So the first thing I want to talk about with actually getting into part 7 is the characters. Starting with the main character, he's the best Joestar by far so far. I think there's an argument for Jotaro, but also not really. Johnny actually has character development. I'm not saying that they haven't before, but he actually has big character development within his part. I feel like Jotaro didn't change on screen. He changed in between each part, which is fine. I like that, but it's not as satisfying as seeing them change in the part. I mean, Jolene definitely changed in her part, but her character's just not as good as Jotaro. Sorry, I can hear the person in the shower's video right now. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it. I think they're watching a Danny Gonzalez video. But yeah. Sorry if you can hear it. I'm gonna put the mic closer to my mouth and probably put some music in the background to kind of mask that. And anyway, getting back on track, Johnny, 1, his character design is one of the better out of the Joestars, and 2, he has really good character development. And kind of leading into my second, the other character I want to talk about, he has such good chemistry with Gyro, and I'll get into the character deaths later on, but one of the best scenes was when that kind of came to a head. But their chemistry and seeing their trust and friendship build up and build up and build up, it's just amazing. And it's definitely one of the better character relationships written, in my opinion. Because Gyro doesn't really have that much of a character arc other than becoming really close friends with Johnny. And Johnny has his character arc, but then them two together have that building of trust that I love it. Also, Gyro's death, I'll get into it later, but it's one of the best moments in almost any piece of media I've seen. But yeah, talking about Gyro as a character too, he's just amazing. Like, he's funny. He's the best Jotaro, I think, easily, because he's just entertaining to be on screen. Like, seeing, or on page, I guess, but like seeing him is just entertaining, and he makes all the fights that he's in, and he makes most of the character dialogue that he's in. He's just an amazing character. For side characters, there was actually like a lot of really good side characters. If we're gonna talk about just like stand fights, Civil War was really good. That was one of my favorites. Probably my favorite fight other than the last one. Yeah, I liked the Civil War fight. I liked the one in the casino where they had to get rid of all their belongings. Ringo Rodigan, I hate to admit it, his fight is good. Not one of the best in the series. I saw this video the other day where a guy says that Ringo Rodigan is his favorite character in anything ever, which is insane. He's in 4 chapters. I don't know. I don't know the hype behind Ringo Rodigan. But yeah, I mean, the stand fights are good, but honestly they get a bit forgettable, as, I mean, it's not as egregious in Steel Ball Run, but especially in like part 3, it just got a bit much with the constant stand fights. And Steel Ball Run actually does a good job at combating that with because they actually put in-betweens where they'd be on their horse and just talking, and the fights are actually like better written and more entertaining. So yeah, stand fights are better, and side characters in general are better. To talk about actually some like actual side characters, Diego is one of my favorite side characters in the part where yeah, he's another character that's just fun to watch on screen. He's such like a slimy douchebag, but you can't help but love him because he has such charisma and his backstory is really good. And I was sad when he died. Like, it was sad, but it was also really fitting for him to die the way he did. And I think how he was like thinking he was winning kind of made it less sad, and that's not in a bad way. That's in a kind of a good way, where it's like, hey, at least he died thinking he won, even though he didn't. He got split in half, you know. But yeah, Hot Pants was a really good character. Don't know what the hell happened to her at the end though. Like, she kind of just disappeared. Johnny's dad, I guess. I didn't like how he gave him retribution at the end, because he's literally like comes back into his son's life only after his son has a chance to win millions. And I expected Johnny to tell him to like, yeah, screw off, but he didn't, which just rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like that. Who else? Lucy Steele was a good character. Her story, I think, was more interesting about what was going on around her than her actual character, but she was an alright character. Steven Steele was good. Kind of same with Lucy, where the things happening around his character were more interesting than his character himself. Yeah, that's all I can think of right now for characters. There's probably more that will come to me later, but yeah, right now, that's really it. The villain of this part is amazing. I mean, I think other than Poochie, he probably is the best villain. I think there's an argument for Poochie though. It's just Funny Valentine. He has charisma, but for me, I never am like those people who would think he was actually like a decent person online. I knew he was terrible the whole time, and his character got a lot better after that scene, after his ability, or like D4C actually started. I think he got a lot better as a character, and yeah, his whole fight with Johnny and ending was amazing. But yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about him, honestly, other than, yeah, he's just really, really good. And he manages to have a complex ability without being confusing like Diavolo was. because Diablo was confusing as hell, and he made it so that ending of part 5, which is arguably my favorite part, didn't hit the same because he's just confusing. Anyway, I just kind of want to go through the story like lightly and just talk about what I thought of the start to the end. And the start is probably the weakest, but also not really. I feel like the start, why I say it's the weakest though, is the whole dispute storyline was just okay. They had to set up the Steel Ball Run race and how it worked, and the story's main driving factor for me was Johnny and Gyro. So seeing them before they kind of like become really good friends, it hinders the story, but it needed to happen. It needed to have that slow start, so I can excuse it. The middle is amazing. I don't really have much to say specifically about any incident towards the middle. It's just amazing. But the ending, I do have some opinions on the ending. So after the fight with Funny Valentine, I'm kind of split on how to feel about it. Because seeing the world again was fun. It was cool, and seeing Dio die was fun and cool. But I'm just not sure how to really feel about bringing him into it, because I don't know, Funny Valentine should have been the last fight. But on the other hand, I really like seeing the world again, so it's just kind of a thing I'm split on. I'm really not sure how to feel about it, but I do like where everything ends up, and the last page especially is just beautiful. Speaking of like the art style, I also kind of want to talk about the art style, which, I mean, it's JoJo's. It's good. Everybody knows that, but I do feel like it was really detailed here. Which, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing, actually. But yeah. Now to talk about like what I thought of the character deaths, and I think that it had some of the better character deaths in the series. One, Funny Valentine, seeing him like beg for his life and beg for Johnny to not kill him was so satisfying. And I thought that Johnny was gonna spare him, and I was so pissed off because I was like, really? Why would he spare him? Because like, that's just like, what the hell? I genuinely thought he was gonna spare him, because he was thinking about, which is in character for Johnny. I'm not saying it's out of character for Johnny, but I did like that he did kind of realize that Valentine was just not planning on doing what he said he would, and he killed him. That whole thing was satisfying. Seeing him get like dragged underground through multiple universes was insanely satisfying too, seeing his ability kind of turn on him. And yeah, that was amazing. I loved his character death. Another good character death is Diego. I kind of already talked about it, but Diego's character death I really liked, and I liked how he thought he won in the end. And he definitely had arguably the most brutal death, because, I mean, it wasn't entirely quick, but it also was quick, where he probably was in pain, but for just like 3 seconds, because he got split in half by the train. But it did show that he was alive for probably like a few seconds after he got split in half and was in extreme pain. But at the same time, he thought he won during those seconds. So, But definitely the goriest death in probably the whole series so far. Because, like, yeah, it's not disturbing, but it is kind of shocking. And, yeah, I loved that death. But by far, like, easily the best death is Gyro. I mean, of course, seeing, honestly, the death itself is good, but like that whole fight with Valentine was good. But I think what really made the death hit was that page where Johnny sees Gyro die, and then there's the like spread of like their most important moments with his like with Johnny's face, and then Johnny's reaction is also just incredibly sad. It's an amazing moment. I don't really know how to describe it. You have to read it to see it, which definitely read it. It's amazing. I mean, the whole series is amazing. But yeah, other good deaths. I liked Weka Pipo. His death was cool. Seeing Diego, it really kind of cemented Diego as the slimeball he is, with him just kind of using this person he had built trust with to test out Valentine's ability and how it works. But yeah, and seeing Diego's body get used to kill the other Diego was also kind of fun. But yeah, it definitely, just to kind of go into closing statements and like what I'm planning for the future, it definitely was worth the hype. I wouldn't say, I'd say it's probably actually number 2, but I haven't read Berserk, so it'll probably get moved down to number 3. Goodnight Pun Pun is still my favorite. But yeah, just to kind of talk about other stuff, part 8 and 9 are next, and I'm definitely not stopping here. I'm gonna read those. I might take a small break, read something else for a little bit, but yeah, no way I'm not reading part 8 and 9. I'm pretty excited, I am excited to go back to Morio, because that is one of my favorite locations for a part. Morio. But yeah, part 9 also, it seems pretty cool with what I've heard about the main character, Jodio, I think his name is. Seems pretty cool, and I'm excited to read it with everybody else. But yeah, that's about it. Also, what I'm not excited for is the part... I've heard terrible things about the part 8 villain. But yeah, no, that's actually it. Just wanted to kind of hop on here, unscripted, talk about it. See ya.